Well, right now we are noticing the unsettled weather across the region, and just a couple of seconds ago, a tornado warning has been issued for sections of Montgomery County. This has been a storm that I've been tracking in the last couple of minutes, and this particular section of Montgomery County, which includes locations such as Carpenter, heading over towards Abington, this is the region where we are noticing the heavy rainfall, and we are noticing a little bit of rotation with this particular storm. So this is the moment for you to seek shelter immediately in the lowest, most interior area of your home. If you are outside or know anybody that's outside, let them know to get inside a sturdy building immediately, because this storm has been showing signs of rotation, and this particular system has been dumping a lot of rain. So anyone driving along Highway 76 and also 276. Again, we are noticing a tornado warning that was just issued a few minutes ago this Sunday morning, very active in this particular region with the heavy rain. So we are noticing unsettled weather here, and that tornado warning is set to expire all the way until 10:30 this morning. So we are watching this cell. It is currently moving towards the northeast. This is one particular piece of a larger spectrum of rain that we are tracking even farther north into areas of Bucks County, but I am going to zoom in on the map and give you a little bit more information on some of the additional towns that are currently under this tornado warning, and you can of course get an idea of what is happening. This is the time for you to again seek shelter immediately. A tornado warning has been issued for sections of Montgomery County and Philadelphia until 10:30 this morning. So anyone near anyone near Gladwine, anyone near Marion, this is the time for you to seek a shelter immediately in the lowest, most interior portion of your home. Anyone driving along the Schuylkill right now, this is a cell that is currently dumping heavy rain, so visibility, of course, not the most ideal for drivers out there. And there are multiple communities, as you can see here, in the area where I am noticing some of the moderate to even heavy rainfall. Francis, we know it's been a very busy morning with showers and storms. We know that the severe weather threat for this morning was definitely something that was part of the forecast, and even into the afternoon we will continue to track more of the showers and storms. I am going to be switching my radar mode here to show you a little bit more of the velocity and give you an idea of where some of the rotation is being detected as of right now. But anyone just tuning in, or if you know anyone in this particular location that I'm showing on screen, make sure you let your loved ones know that a tornado warning is right now in effect for sections of Montgomery County and Philadelphia. So this particular shot right here, noticing our velocity loop, shows where we see a little bit of the turning of the winds with this particular storm right here. So where you see that red dot, or at least that red marking on the map, this is near Windmore, and just to the east of, just to the west of Allen Lane, here is where we are seeing a little bit of rotation. This is a storm that is showing the spin higher up above the ground, and this is of course one of the indications that we get whenever we look at perhaps a tornado. I'm not getting a confirmation that there's a tornado on the ground. I do want to be clear about that, but I do want to let you know that this particular storm continues to spin. We are noticing different colors here. There's a contrast in between a lot of green that you see, which indicates the storm is moving in one direction, but where you see the red, it basically means the opposite. So the green indicates that we have the rainfall moving generally towards the radar. However, in this particular area here in the red is where we have some of the raindrops going in an opposite direction. So we essentially have a little bit of a spin that's being generated in this particular spot. So if you are near Darren Hill, if you are near 309 Windmore, this is the time for you to go to your safe place immediately. Get inside a closet, get in the lowest floor of your home, because we have this storm that is showing rotation. The alert is in place until 10:30 this morning, and this storm continues to track towards the east. I am going to bring up some additional information here on the side and give you some additional insights from this particular cell that we are watching right now. Again, this is just a small fraction of what we have right now active across the region. You can see the polygon in the red. that's where we have a tornado warning this morning. This is a storm that is generally moving to the northeast at about 10 miles per hour. So this is a storm that is not showing the most obvious rotation, but there is a little bit of rotation detected with this particular cell. So I am anticipating that the storm does have the ingredients. This particular cell has all the needed ingredients here for the system to maintain its strength and intensity. So check out our satellite and radar loop right now. I just added this particular polygon here and this particular cone to give you an idea of some of the neighborhoods that will be affected. And you can see Glenside getting this particular system at about 10:43 this morning, getting to about 10:55 near Abington. Again, we are looking at a very large area here. I am going to zoom in on the map and give you a better view of what towns are included within this particular tornado warning that we have in effect across Montgomery County. So zooming in on the map, we can actually see some of the communities here near White Marsh towards Allen Lane, near and north of East Falls. So we are talking about a very densely populated area across the city, and also, of course, the lower end of Montgomery County. A tornado warning here continues in effect, and I'm going to pause this and go back to the velocity and show you where we see that rotation right now. So this is a storm that is moving very slow, and one of the main concerns with systems like this is the fact that they are bringing a lot of rainfall. So with that being said, you may likely not see a spin. You may likely not have a clear view of a funnel out there, but there is a rotation being detected by radar, and that is essentially one of the main concerns that we have. This storm is moving to the north at about to the northeast, at about 10 miles per hour. So if you are near Glenside, this storm will be approaching your area at about 10:22 this morning, closer to 10:35 near Abington. And the tornado warning is set to expire at about 10:30 this morning. So we could see an extension of this alert if the rotation continues to be this noticeable. And when I say noticeable, you can see this area in the red. Here is where we have the wind direction in this particular part of the storm going in an opposite direction compared to what else this particular storm is doing. So here we have winds that are basically trying to move away from the radar. We got to remember the radar helps us detect what is happening outside, and this is the one spot that is being detected, or this area we're detecting that the wind is going in an opposite direction compared to the rest of the storm. So there is a little bit of rotation. Everything's going in one direction except this particular piece right here. This is just to the south of White Marsh, heading towards Allen Lane. Here's where we have a tornado warning in effect until 10:30 this morning. We're talking about the lower end of Montgomery County, stretching into parts of the northern side of Philadelphia. So obviously with this particular system moving very slowly, the rain is going to be a problem for us here, lowering visibility for drivers. And of course, we have some major state routes here and major highways. We're talking 276. We're talking about many other spots near the Schuylkill as well. Most likely you're already towards the south of where we are detecting rotation. However, the rain continues to be a problem, and yes, the flooding, that has been the main concern that we've been facing all morning long with the storms that are moving across our entire area. Again, this is a tornado warning for anyone just tuning in. This is something that just popped up about 5 minutes ago. There are multiple thunderstorms moving across the region right now, but it is this particular area across the city, or near the city, where we are seeing a little bit of rotation. You can see basically here a general overview of who is seeing the storm right now. This loop shows you the last 15 minutes of activity that we have seen with this particular storm. A lot of heavy rain. This is not a typical setup that we tend to see, or at least I should say with the look that I'm seeing here on radar. This is not the most obvious tornado signature. I'm not getting any of those indications as of right now. However, there is a lot of rain, but there is some indication that the storm is rotating, and that is the problem. It is that rotation that could lead to a funnel cloud touching the ground and generating a tornado. So there is no official confirmation yet of a tornado on the ground, but I do want to let you know again and emphasize that there is rotation being detected by radar. We have a tornado warning in effect for the red spot that you see there on the map. This tornado warning is in effect until 10:45 this morning, and this includes Montgomery County on the southern end, and it includes as well sections of the north and western portion of Philadelphia. Anyone in Center City, anyone in West Philly, you are not in the tornado warning. I want to emphasize that as well, because I do not want you to believe that it is the entire Philadelphia metro area that currently has a tornado warning. We're talking about some of the neighborhoods on the northern end, and that of course includes locations such as East Falls, which again, this is a very populated area across Philadelphia towards locations such as Cheltenham. That's another spot where we have hearing your phone ringing. You are probably hearing the sirens out there, and this is just a warning for you to go inside, to stay away from doors, to stay away from windows. This is the storm that we are watching across lower. A close eye on the rotation and of course on every item on the map right now, because obviously there are many spots getting rain, but this is the one location where there is a little bit of rotation happening right now.
Yeah, that was a great explanation, Marvin. Very easy to follow. As you mentioned, this tornado warning just came in the last 5 to 10 minutes, and we actually just got an advisory as well from the Office of Emergency Management. Important information about what to do in this situation. They're saying get in, get down, cover up. You should take shelter as soon as possible in a basement or maybe some sort of interior room that doesn't have a lot of windows on the lowest level of your home. Of course, you also want to stay informed. Keep watching us right here, and remember to get in, get down, cover up. Now, if you are outside, maybe in a vehicle or some sort of mobile home, they're advising, the Office of Emergency Management is advising that you seek stronger shelter. And if you are outside, get inside as soon as you can. If you can't, they're saying you should lie flat in a ditch, cover your head with your hands, don't get under any sort of overpass or a bridge, and never attempt to outrun a tornado. Again, here's what you should do. Just reminders as this tornado warning is just coming in the last 5 minutes or so. Marvin?
Yeah, friends, it's definitely a very busy setup for us this morning, and with the storms moving right now. This one I mentioned right before it was warned as a tornado. This storm continues to produce heavy rain, and it is a very slow moving system, and that is why flooding has been the #1 key. Even if we don't end up getting the verification of a tornado from this particular cell, know that the flooding is already likely happening in those areas prone to flooding. And we have, there's a lot to show here on this particular map. You can also sort of see a green polygon box drawn around this general region, and here is where also we have a flash flood warning because of the heavy rain associated with this system. I do want to emphasize I am showing velocity right now, and with this particular product, with this particular tool of the radar, it allows us to get a full scan of the storm and show us what direction the storm is generally taking with regards to the radar. So there is a little bit of red here right underneath the cone, and this is essentially where I'm seeing some of the circulation. So residents near Ardsley, near Hordsham, these are spots that will have this storm continue to roll over the region, and of course these are spots that need to go inside immediately as we have this rotating thunderstorm moving across the region. This tornado warning is in place until 10:30 this morning. If we continue to see some of that rotation, most likely this tornado warning will be extended. As of right now, the signature with regards to rotation is not the strongest, but I will also say, Francis, it is not the weakest either. And to give you a little bit more insight on some communities that are within this tornado warning, you can actually see here as I zoom in some of the other towns that are nearby, some of the major roads as well within this general area. So along 309, 276 near the White Marsh, we're getting that clear indication, that clear view here of the reds versus the greens. Again, not the strongest that I have seen with other storms in our area, but I want you to know that this is where we are tracking the rotation associated with this particular storm right now, getting into the lower end of Montgomery County, and by now essentially exiting most of the Philadelphia metro area. So a tornado warning, this is it right here. You can actually see it very well drawn on this map right here, just to the south and east of White Marsh. This is a tornado warning that was just issued a few minutes ago. A lot of heavy rain coming down with this particular cell. You can actually see that the rain even extends outside of where we have a tornado warning. So Abington near Warminster, across Bucks County as well. Many other spots receiving the heavy rain associated with this particular storm. And of course, the rain is going to be a problem, especially for anyone out there on the road. They may not be able to clearly identify a tornado if there were to be a full confirmation of a tornado on the ground. Again, I am not seeing that confirmation right now, but I will tell you the storm continues to rotate. The storm is showing history of rotation. Let me show you the last 15 minutes and the overall evolution that I have seen with this tornado warning across Montgomery County. So let me play this out for you and show you what has been happening in the last 15 minutes with regards to this particular cell. So near the Windmore area, we can clearly see a little bit of the red sliding by. And again, for all of you that are just tuning in, or if you know anyone in any of the locations that I'm showing here on the screen, I have to step away from the monitor really quickly to continue to change between the different tools that we have that allow us to detect where the spin is. So this is the frame of the last 15 minutes. We have seen a little bit of the red. Again, this is where we have winds going in an opposite direction in comparison to the rest of the storm. So most likely this is the area that will continue to slide over towards the northeast. Not a lot of movement has happened in the last 10 minutes. The storm continues to roll to the northeast at about 10 miles per hour. I could see an extension of this tornado warning if I don't see those red tones on the map decreasing. With that being said, areas along 276, they are about to see this rotating portion of the storm cross over the highway and most likely parallel at one point here across the lower end of Montgomery County. Abington, you need to be ready to see some of the heavy rain. Well, you're already seeing the heavy rain, but you need to be ready for the portion of the storm that's rotating, and that is why this entire area needs to be in a safe place right now, because this storm has the potential of firing up a funnel cloud and having that cloud touch the ground, and that's when we officially know there is a tornado out there. Again, Francis, the idea here is not to wait for the tornado to touch the ground and tell people seek shelter. The idea is to tell people to seek shelter now in case that cloud that's spinning out there touches the ground. White Marsh right now, you are probably seeing most of the rotation moving across your area along with the heavy rain. The tornado watch here is in effect until 10:45, but again, I am seeing, I'm not observing a lot of changes with regards to the rotation of this particular storm. So I am going to activate another one of our tools that we have here that give us a better view of what exactly is what exactly is going on with regards to the rain, pausing the radar for everybody to see. And again, near Abington and along 276, we have the moderate to heavy rain falling down right now. This is not a time for anybody to go outside and assess the situation, investigate if there is actually a funnel cloud, if there's actually a tornado coming. You never really know if there's any debris out there, which I'm not seeing any reports of that right now, but I will tell you at 10:07 this morning, so just a couple of minutes ago, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado, and this is the one that we're tracking, was located over Chestnut Hill or near Philadelphia, moving northeast at about 10 miles per hour. That is the last message that I got from our friends at the National Weather Service, who of course continue to monitor the situation. So this region right here along 309 near Windmore, near Ardsley, closer towards White Marsh, here is where we have some of the heaviest rainfall coming down associated with this storm. We have Pennsylvania Avenue here along 276 as well. So many important highways here in this particular section of the lower end of Montgomery County that are currently seeing the heavy rain sliding through. And know that most of the towns that I'm showing you here on the screen, they are currently under that tornado warning. There is not a lot of time to waste, Francis. We see the rotating storm continuing to slide towards the northeast, a very slow moving system. So there is a lot to look at in this particular shot of our radar. And of course, I'm just waiting here perhaps for an extension of this tornado warning, as I am not seeing any big changes with regards to our velocity. The idea here, or what we are trying to see, is for everything to turn green on this particular portion of the map, and it's that red zone right in the middle where we of course see a little bit of the rotation being detected by radar with this tornado warned storm that we have right now, Francis.
Yeah, so Marvin, as you've been talking about, this tornado warning really coming in the last 15 minutes or so, but really all last night, all weekend, and especially all morning long, we've been talking about the storms. We've been talking about the flooding. The flash flooding, of course, has already been deadly in Bucks County. We've been talking about that all morning, where search crews are still looking for 4 people missing. Now that this comes into play, how does this all mix in together? Because it just seems like there's so many elements, from the heavy rain to the wind to the storms to now this tornado warning. There's just a lot going on, Marvin.
There is a lot going on, Francis, and unfortunately, I will tell you, areas in Bucks County, of course, that are doing some of the recovery efforts from yesterday's deadly flooding, they are getting some of the heavy rain right now as well. So unfortunately, this is not an ideal setup across the general area, since we have the rain that's slowing crews down for sure. And now that we have this particular storm spinning, this is obviously not an ideal situation. This is not an ideal setup for us across the region. So I am expecting this storm to continue to move very slowly. A flash flood warning has been issued for the entire end of Montgomery County, and that's essentially the large area that you see in the green. And that's because this particular storm, or this particular region, continues to see almost one storm after another. The rain has been very continuous in the last hour or so, so flooding is a problem. On top of that, we're starting to see this very end portion of the storm acquiring a little bit of rotation. That's what the radar indicated about 15 minutes ago when we started talking about this particular tornado warning. And you can see some of the communities here that could be impacted if the rotation continues. So this is not a matter of if we're going to see the rotation continue or not. This is a matter of seek shelter, put yourself in a safe spot. Do not wait for conditions to deteriorate. Do not wait for conditions to get even worse than they are for you to put yourself in a safe place. So Glenside at about 10:23, at about 10:36 across Abington. There you see it. It's a large area very close to the urban corridor. Philadelphia, the metro area, at least the Center City areas to the south or west, not under the tornado warning. However, it is just to the immediate north. It does include Chestnut Hill. That's where the rotation was detected a few minutes ago. And of course, the storm continues to move to the northeast at about 10 miles per hour. Francis, we know that the rain continues to be the main threat. Although this is a tornado warning, although there is rotation being detected by this storm, the rain could lead to flooding. We had that tragic event yesterday. We could see rainfall rates anywhere between 1 and 3 inches in a very short period of time with any of the thunderstorms that are expected to cross our area later today. And of course, some of the storms, if they are healthy, such as this one, they could end up dumping up to 5 inches of rain. And it doesn't take much for flooding to occur, especially in those areas that are prone to flooding, in those areas close to the urban corridor. And of course, in this particular spot, there is the flash flood warning happening. It's active at the moment, and we have the tornado warning active as well. So you can clearly see where the storm is moving right now. It is going to the northeast. I am going to be switching back to my set radar to stop a little bit of the motion that of course, we get with this loop here, and I just want to show you where the rain is at this particular moment. So the heavy rain continues across White Marsh near Abington, just to the north and west of Cheltenham. Excuse me for my mispronunciation of that, near Allen Lane as well. So a lot of rain coming down with this particular cell. Not all of it, of course, or not all of the rain coincides with where we have the rotation, so that's something to keep in mind. And here it is. Notice the rain continuing to cross over 276 near Abington, near Arlingham. You are seeing the moderate to heavy rain. Multiple communities in this particular section of Montgomery County under a tornado warning. As of right now, the latest information is that the warning still in effect. It is set to expire at about 10:30, so in about 10 minutes, we should have this tornado warning come to an end. However, we got to keep tracking this storm. We got to keep looking at the velocity, and we got to keep analyzing exactly how this storm continues to behave, because that's going to be key on whether or not the cancellation of the tornado warning will happen in about 9 minutes, or if we're going to see an extension of the tornado warning in the next 15 to potentially 30 minutes as well. So you can see near Drescher, that's where we see some of the rotation right now. There's a little bit of the red along 276. We are getting some of the red tones on the map here, and we got to remember that whenever we see this particular setup, when there is the green against the red, that's when we start to see some of the rotation on radar. Doesn't necessarily mean that we have a tornado confirmation on the ground. It just means that we are tracking wind direction and speed different than the rest of the storm. So it's going to be quite a very unpleasant setup in this moment of time across this general area as we see some of the rotation. Again, not the most defined. I'm not noticing a clear couplet. That's what it's called. It's called the couplet when we have a very iconic, a very distinct difference between the red and the green. It's almost like a shade of red here that we see moving near Drescher, just to the north of Edge Hill, and of course now to the east and northeast of White Marsh. The storm really has not moved a whole lot in the last couple of minutes, and that's because the speed of the storm is very slow. So a lot of rain coming down, the flash flood warning in effect across this particular area of 276. The storm is expected to continue to roll towards the northeast, and of course the rotation, that's what I'm really trying to show you here in this particular frame. The rotation is going to be key, because this will give us an idea of whether or not we continue to see that tornado warning active or not. Most of the we just got a new view here. We just had the map refresh a little bit, and now there's not a lot of clear rotation. I'm not seeing any this particular area in the red. It has become a little bit of a more broad area that's showing some hints of red here and there along 276. Again, this is the southern portion of Montgomery County, and here is where that tornado warning is in effect. I am going to zoom out on the map, Francis, and see what other areas, what other parts of town are likely to start noticing some of the spin. You can actually see just outside of the tornado warned area near County Line, near Warminster. Here we are tracking the rain. These are not spots that are currently under a tornado warning. And we know that as of right now, Francis, it is 10:24 right now. And because of the very broad circulation associated with this storm, the tornado warning has expired, Francis. So now we're just looking at the rain. The tornado warning has ended. Obviously, the circulation wasn't strong enough. The circulation wasn't the most definitive. So we're definitely going to continue to keep an eye on the radar if anything is to spin up, if anything were to spin up once again. And of course, be mindful that the flooding still remains as the main concern. We will be right back after the break.
All right, well, that tornado warning has ended. It lasted about almost 30 minutes. But weather will continue to be the big story today.
That is correct, Francis. Multiple rounds of on and off showers. The rain could be heavy at times, could lead to flash flooding. We have had multiple of those warnings come up across our area, and you can actually see many spots on our radar are currently receiving rain. We have seen some steady rainfall across South Jersey and close to the coastline as well. Many locations already reporting over an inch of rain. I could see perhaps totals continue to climb across the Pennsylvania suburbs. Francis, we know that area in Bucks County where authorities unfortunately gave us the bad news earlier about the three people that unfortunately passed away yesterday in the deadly flash flooding. Well, there are storms moving across that general area right now, not helping with the situation. The tornado threat, I want to emphasize, is not zero. It remains low. It's not the biggest item that I'm looking at. Flooding continues to be the big problem for us this afternoon. The good news, at least for the Pennsylvania suburbs, is that the amount of storms later this afternoon will be a little bit less. Unfortunately, New Jersey and Delaware will have perhaps the greatest concentration of storms, and that's going to be the area where we will be paying very close attention to for the potential of additional spin-ups, because again, the tornado threat is not high, but it is definitely not zero either.
All right, good to know. We'll keep an eye out. Thank you so much for all your hard work, Marvin.
Stay safe, everybody.
Yes, please do. We know it's been a sad morning with the news out of Bucks County. We're going to keep you updated. The latest coming in at 11:30.